There was a consent form printed in the Herald Sun, which had Stephen Dank's signature on it, and on it was AOD 6904, 9604, I should say, which seems to be the contentious drug. Did you sign one of those forms, and did you have AOD administered?
I signed the consent form, and my understanding after it being given through Bruce Reid and the club that I was receiving AOD, yeah.
And you were receiving it thinking it was legal at the time?
That it was legal at the time, and that was actually what I was told I was being given.
Well, the game changed again last night. Hello and welcome to Sports Today. Great to have your company wherever you're listening around the land. Massive show coming up as always. Caroline Wilson is going to join us shortly. We will do a heap of other sport a little later. John Newcombe, Channel 7 commentator, is going to join us from Wimbledon. And in the not-too-distant future, in a matter of minutes, Richard Ings, former ASADA chairman, is also going to join us. But that admission by Jobe Watson that he signed a form allowing the drug AOD 9604 to be administered, and the admission by Jobe that he believed he was administered AOD 9604 is the first confirmation that AOD 9604 was taken. So that is now fact. It's not, in our eyes, hypothetical anymore. It probably doesn't change anything for ASADA. We presume that what Jobe said on the couch last night, he's already told ASADA. But the big issue now is, what has changed is if ASADA decides AOD 9604 was banned at the time it was taken, if they decide it was, then Jobe Watson and any other Essendon player that admits taking it or signed a form allowing it to be injected took a banned drug, and there'll be no out for them whether it's a performance-enhancing or not even a performance-enhancing drug. It doesn't matter. If it's banned, it's banned. Jobe's only out here, I think, is if ASADA says the substance was not officially banned at that time that it was taken. And Jared, I don't see any out now for Essendon either. They'll either be fined or have points taken off them by the AFL. I'm sure the AFL just want to simply give them a fine. But you were the man that asked the question on the couch last night of Jobe Watson. Could you believe it?
No, I couldn't, Dwayne. I couldn't believe that he was as open as he was, and I appreciated his candour. I thought he was absolutely brilliant as an individual, representing obviously himself and his family, but also his footy club. But I still cannot quite sleep easy with this one. There is something not right here. What I learnt last night was Jobe took AOD 9604, but I assumed that was probably the case.
No, that's the thing that's changed. We all had presumed that was probably the case, but now it's been admitted to.
Now, what changed for me last night was that Dr. Bruce Reid was a co-signature on that consent form. Now, it had been published in the Herald Sun, and that's what's changed for me, and that's why I'm uncomfortable by drawing the obvious conclusion.
Because that's the thing, you can't believe that he would be a co-signator on that?
What I know about Bruce Reid, and I've known him for long enough, I've known him for 30-odd years. I went to him a couple of times when I had issues, and I've travelled Ireland with him. What I know about Bruce Reid is he would not be giving an illegal substance to his players. So something has convinced Bruce Reid that this was legal. Now, Bruce Reid, let's talk about Bruce Reid. About 8 months ago, we talked about the potential for peptides coming, and I knew that somebody had told me about a official from Essendon up in the Gold Coast inquiring about
you actually
peptides.
Got the ball rolling on this program about 9 months ago.
Well, the person it's I believe now was Bruce Reid, and he was up there asking about the dangers of this peptide. So here we've got a bloke who was concerned about this whole thing, who is now a co-signature to the peptide. So I can't believe that Bruce Reid would sign off on this unless something convinced him that A, it wasn't performance enhancing, which in my personal view it is, but B, it was legal. Now, people take things because ultimately they're going to get an enhancement of performance, recovery, whatever it is, it all adds up. But I cannot believe Bruce Reid would sign it, Dwayne, and give it to his boys, and he treats them as his boys, and therefore convince James Hird, Ed Ellett, Essendon, unless something had been given to him by way of evidence. Misinformation from ASADA or WADA. I can't believe he would just simply rely on Stephen Dank, given that he's flown to Queensland allegedly and asked about him. Doesn't add up to me, and until I hear from Bruce Reid, I'm keeping the powder dry.
Lines are open 96 900 693, 96900 693, or 13 13 32 if you'd like to join us from outside Melbourne. Before we talk to Richard Ings, who's about to join us in seconds, Jobe Watson did say today that it's back under the no comment banner.
In light of last night's comments in the interview, sort of make a further comment. The investigation with the AFL and the ASADA is ongoing, and I'm looking forward to that investigation being made public and the findings of that being made public. But I can't comment any more about the specifics of the investigation, and the club will be making a statement online later on tonight on the website. But considering the investigation is going on, I can't make any more public comments.
It's Jobe today, and I admit, Jared, you're absolutely spot on. He carries himself so well, Jobe. Maybe it was just honesty last night that he couldn't resist the temptation of honesty.
Well, I think we can all look for ultimate motivations, ulterior motivations, and I've certainly racked my brain as to why this was so. But as I said, something doesn't sit well with me that Bruce Reid has signed this, because I've known him for too long to know he would go down this track willingly. Let's talk to Richard Ings, former ASADA chairman, who some time ago told us that in January of 2011, both ASADA and WADA published a statement clarifying their position on AOD 9604, and he joins us. Welcome to you, Richard.
G'day, guys.
This is a really difficult one, Richard. There's already people who look after other sports suggesting that Jobe Watson should be stood down. We'll be talking to those people down the track. But your reading on it, and can you clarify your comments of about 6 months ago, where you did confirm to us on the radio station, ASADA and WADA have been left in no doubt as to the legality of this drug.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, in April of this year alone, WADA put out a press statement saying that definitively, in their view, AOD 9604 is a banned substance. And we must remember that the WADA prohibited list is owned and managed by WADA. So the governing body has determined it's banned, and it has been banned since the 1st of January 2011.
1st of January 2011, that would be before anybody took any substance. So is it possible that ASADA have given misinformation to either Bruce Reid, Dr. Bruce Reid, or Stephen Dank?
Well, look, it's impossible to speculate, and it's not impossible that, an organisation can make an error. But for ASADA to do something like that, that would be a massive error. It would be not consistent with how they manage these situations or the protocols that they follow, because normally they're telling sports and athletes to not take anything which is unknown. And that would be the advice I would expect that ASADA would be giving.
Richard, if an Olympic athlete said on the eve of their event at an Olympic Games, I took AOD 9604 a year ago, would they be allowed to compete the next day?
Look, every sport is different, and I think what we need to reflect on here is that there is likely more than one player who's been involved in using AOD 9604. WADA do say that AOD 9604 is banned, but I think it's really important to just let ASADA get on with completing its investigation to determine if there is any fault, who has that fault, and what, if any, consequence should be and applied fairly to all who are involved.
So you don't feel action should be taken against Jobe immediately, as has been suggested many times over the air in the last 12 hours?
No, look, I think it's premature to be suggesting that, and I think the only caveat would be if a player was to come forward and not just admit to taking AOD 9604, but admit that they believe that they've committed a doping offence, then that's a completely different proposition. But this investigation is still ongoing. This is a critical admission last night. It may expedite things, but there is still more investigation to complete.
But there's something far more complex, and I can't put my finger on this particular issue, Richard, and that is Essendon maintain that they haven't taken an illegal substance. So somebody at Essendon believes that at the time, AOD 9604, which is going to now live in our memory for a long, long time, and hopefully it'll be gone very shortly, was legal at the time. How can that be so, given that WADA has been so strong, and you're telling us that ASADA in January 2011 clarified this position?
Well, if anyone who has been using AOD 9604, whether it's a player or any sort of club administrator who provided it, has any evidence that an organisation of authority like ASADA or WADA, confirm with them that it was okay under the ban list to use, then they really need to produce that get out of jail free card. Speculating about it is impossible. If it exists, then it needs to be provided to the authorities.
One of the arguments appears to be whether or not, or its status as a performance enhancer, and that then goes to the crux of whether or not it should be or is illegal. Does that carry any weight?
Well, no, it doesn't, because AOD 9604 is banned under a category of the WADA Code that captures any substance that's not approved for therapeutic use. This is not approved for human use. So the tests haven't been done to determine how it could or enhance performance or have an impact on health. And let's face it was taken to specifically help these players in their performance for no other reason.
Richard, always great to have you on the program. Thanks for reconfirming a few of the things you said earlier on our program this year, and thanks for coming on again.
That's okay, anytime.